Were you told that a spiritual journey was going to be difficult, that it was going to be hard, that it was, you could have a lot of dark nights of the soul and, periods of darkness. And, you were just, it was heavy and really it sounds difficult, and people that they've had to, they started their spiritual journey and they lost friendships and they maybe got a divorce, or their whole life changed, they moved different places, they were different, they ate different foods, and you're like, nah, not for me, this is too heavy, this is too much for me. Well, I can so relate to that because I stepped into a spiritual journey, like not knowing what would happen. And many of those things actually did happen to me in this sense. And yet I was able to move through them and I figured it out. And I'm sharing this with you today about the dark night of the soul and so forth, because I know that many of my clients and myself as well, that's often something heavy, something dramatic, something traumatic, often is the impetus that's needed, the catalyst to start to really look deeply. And yet, it doesn't have to be endless dark nights of the soul. So, just to get, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Catherine Walters, and I'm an intuitive ignition catalyst. And I help professional, conscious women, evolutionary leaders, healers to step into their spiritual independence, their authentic self-expression, and let go of the people pleasing and the unworthiness and all that other stuff that every time you step up into that next level comes back to like hit you in the face. And what I can remember, as I on my spiritual journey, one of the things that I've done, and I'm sure many of you do as well, is I journal. And so one morning after a particularly heavy dark night of the soul, I got up and I'm doing my journaling, and I'm grumpy and I'm moody and the whole thing. And I'm like going like, why the heck am I even showing up here? What does it even matter? And so I wrote, good morning, divine friends. And divine friends are the angels and spirit guides and archangels and masters and so forth that work with me. And I said, thank you. And I love you. And they came back with, good morning, darling Catherine. We love you truly, 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 truly. And I'm like, truly? Truly is not even a word. Yeah, we know. But it made you smile, didn't it? And I'm going, yeah. And they said to me, Catherine, a spiritual journey doesn't have to be so heavy. Well, it sure looks like it to me, is what I'm replying back. And they said, no, your soul and everyone's soul is not heavy and dark. In fact, it's the opposite. It's full of light and joy and fun and playfulness and spontaneity and silliness. Well, it took me years of incorporating that and, trusting that, believing that, seeing evidence of that in my daily life and in my clients' lives to see how, it actually is that. And yet, where you are right now, where many people start out or are even on a spiritual journey for a long time, it doesn't feel that way, because had brought up, we kind of transferred the conditioning of our church going years and the way we might have been raised in a kind of a strict religious household. And I'm not judging that, I'm just saying that it's there were rules, there was dogma, there were expectations, you had to fit into a mold, into what everyone else was doing. But when you're on a spiritual journey, you break out of that. And the whole point is to be free and independent of all those things that kept you in this very narrow, limited path, and instead open you up like the sunshine so you can shine your light everywhere you go. Now, I'm not saying on a spiritual journey and when I work with clients that I teach them how to bypass their heavy emotions. No, no, no. But what I am saying is that what I help them do is feel empowered and to embody being able to shift from that dark night of the soul or those feelings that have created that into a new emotion, a new experience that they do want to feel, whether it's peace or joy or a sense of lightness or freedom or kindness or compassion, empathy for themselves, forgiveness, all of those things. And when you can shift into those, then the soul lights up again and it's full of joy and it wants to play. So if what I'm saying, if you can relate to what I'm saying, and you maybe have already spent way too many dark nights of the soul, and you are ready to experience something new and fresh and to really experience the joy, the actual joy and light of your very own soul. And you want to, you know that this is a really heavy, chaotic world right now. And that you know that your light, your joy can spread out to others and maybe lift someone else up. And that's what you love doing. And you know that being conscious is something that when one person turns on the light, then others do as well. And you are a part of that. You know you are meant to be a part of that. And you're you're ready. Then let's talk. Because you're at that place where you're ready to move to the next level. And I know, and probably you know this too, is that your joy is literally waiting in the wings for you. It's right there. And so are your guides and all your helpers and all of your special gifts. They're right there. And yet you need support in bringing them into the forefront, in embodying them, in bringing them into who you are, not who you are now, but who you are meant to be. And so on a conversation with that we would have, we'll talk about what's been happening. Where have those dark nights of the soul been for you? And what's your real vision of what are you drawn to? What is your soul calling you? What are your spirit guides and angels nudging you toward? And we'll find out. And then we can take it from there. So the link is below for you to have a conversation with me because I know your time is now and your joy is right there waiting for you. Love and blessings. I look forward to talking with you soon. Namaste.